The sun is out, and the village is bustling with life on a clear day. Everyone is having a good time, drinking and laughing under the street lanterns. But down in the shadows of a back alley, there's a kid who isn't part of the celebration. The young beggar is desperately scavenging for whatever scraps he can find on the ground. He doesn't care about anything else, just getting something into his stomach. Suddenly, a rock hits him right in the head. A group of local kids are pelting him with stones, calling him a dog for eating off the floor. He ignores the insults and takes off running, keeping his prize safe. He ends up at a stall where some fresh, hot dumplings are sitting out. He sees his chance and snatches one. But he's not fast enough. The vendor catches him immediately. A heavy kick sends him tumbling across the cobblestones. Up on a nearby balcony, a man with white hair and striking red eyes is watching the whole thing. The villager doesn't stop, raining down more kicks on the small boy. The crazy part, the kid is still trying to eat the dumpling while taking the hits. The red-eyed elder narrows his eyes, realizing the boy's bones should have shattered by now. He asks a local woman about the child, but she just brushes him off as a common troublemaker. The man watches as another villager stomps their boot right into the kid's back. He wonders if this brat has actually had some kind of martial arts training. The villagers finally get tired of the beating and tell him to beat it. They toss him out of the gates like garbage. The boy hits the dirt hard, but he's already moving. He pulls a crushed dumpling from his robe. At least he didn't lose it. He huddles in the woods to eat, calling them fools for thinking they won. A sudden chill runs down his spine as he senses something. He turned back and saw a dumpling sitting on the ground. He looked left and right, trying to process where this dumpling had popped out from. A hand reaches out right toward his food. Then a boot comes down and crushes his dumpling into the dirt. His jaw dropped as he fell into the mousetrap. It's the red-eyed elder. He wants to know why a kid is so obsessed with eating. The boy's face twists in pure anger as he glares at the man. He doesn't even argue. He just starts eating the smashed remains off the ground. The elder looks down, comparing him to a starving animal. The kid doesn't give a damn what he thinks as long as he's swallowing. The boy's eyes fixate on the ornate sword on the man's hip. He realizes he's dealing with a Murim warrior. The man asks him again, why did he just stand there and take it? The kid pauses, looking genuinely confused by the question. The elder points out that someone with his resilience could have easily fought back. The kid didn't even bother to answer. He just shoved the last bit of the dirty dumpling into his mouth. He looks the man in the eye and tells him, if he fought back, they would have just taken the food. The man notes the kid's weirdly high pain tolerance, though his hunger is a different story. He sees a stubborn, rebellious spark in those eyes. The boy has no idea what he's talking about. He doesn't even know what martial arts are. The elder leans in, demanding to know who trained him. The kid just stares back, completely clueless. Without another word, the man grabs the boy's wrist to check his pulse. Instantly, a strange energy begins to swirl around his hand. The elder realizes the boy isn't even trying to circulate any internal energy. It's not training or some legendary elixir that did this to his body. Inside the boy, there's a vast, untapped sea of power waiting to be unleashed. The elder's own energy is being pulled into the boy like a vacuum. The kid has a wide-open dantian, a rare and incredibly dangerous condition. The man stands back, stunned by what he's just found in this beggar. He's never seen a constitution this bizarre in all his years. He explains that while the kid's pathways are open, it's a double-edged sword. Eventually, that internal energy will build up until his body simply can't hold it anymore. He gives him a grim deadline, 5 years. If he doesn't learn to control it, he'll be dead within that time. The boy stands there, processing the news that he's basically a ticking time bomb. Everything goes quiet as the weight of those words sinks in. His first question, does being dead mean he can't eat anymore? The elder just stares, wondering if this kid is actually serious. The boy looks down, admitting he's never actually had a full meal in his life. He clenches his fist. He refuses to die without experiencing a full stomach just once. He shouts his lungs out, declaring he wants to eat until he literally bursts. The man laughs, realizing the kid fears hunger way more than he fears death. He tells Gyoha to follow him if he actually wants a chance to live. The kid only cares about the food, and the man tells him he'll get it if he survives. The elder's tone shifts, becoming cold and serious as they move into the forest. He warns that the pain he's felt so far is nothing compared to what's coming. The boy doesn't flinch, ready to do whatever it takes. They arrive at the top of a massive cliff, and the man simply tells him to jump. The boy looks down at the sheer drop, his jaw hitting the floor in shock. He protests that he'll die, but the elder points out he's dead either way. The kid calls him a liar, wondering why he was brought here if this is saving him. The man says he'll keep his word, but he never said the process would be easy. Before the boy can react, the elder literally kicks him off the edge. He plummets toward the ground, screaming in pure terror as he falls. It's a long, steep drop with nothing but jagged rocks waiting below. In a desperate panic, his hand slams into the cliffside, clawing for a grip. He slides down the rock face, leaving a bloody trail as he fights to slow down. He barely manages to catch himself on a small ledge, gasping for air. The red-eyed elder gazes down from the cliff edge, unimpressed by the boy's struggle. Gyoha screams in fury, his fingers bloody from clawing at the unforgiving rock. The elder tells him that if death were his fate, he'd already be at the bottom of the ravine. He issues a simple challenge. If he wants to keep living, he has to find the strength to climb. Gyoha's teeth grind together as he fights through the excruciating pain in his mangled hands. With a guttural roar, he heaves himself upward, one agonizing inch at a time. His cries echo against the stone walls as he refuses to let go of his slim chance at life. Sometime later, they find shelter in a quiet mountain cave far from the village. Gyoha sits exhausted as the elder gives him a new Taoist name that means to correct flaws. The man explains the danger of his condition. His open dantian is a vessel that never stops filling. Without control, the pressure will eventually tear his body apart from the inside. To stay alive, he must learn to purge the excess chi from his dantian constantly. The boy looks up, sweating and confused, wondering how he's supposed to do that. The elder gives a small, dangerous smirk, telling him the method is quite simple. Suddenly, a heavy fist slams into the boy's face, as the elder tells him he needs to move and take beatings. The force of the blow sends the young beggar tumbling backward across the hard cave floor. Clinging to his throbbing head, the boy curses the old man's insanity and the sheer pain of the hit. The elder looms over him, telling him to stop thinking and just react to the world around him. Another brutal strike catches him before he can even find his footing to defend himself. Gyoha's eyes lock onto a piece of dried meat resting on a stone nearby. Driven by pure hunger, he lunges toward the food with everything he has left. But before he can touch it, the elder's foot slams down with explosive force. The old man kicks him away, treating the boy like a stray dog begging for scraps. Gyoha is bounced around the cave like a ragdoll, unable to land a single hit on his mentor. Holding the jerky just out of reach, the elder asks if he's truly hungry enough to work for it. The boy glares at him, his spirit refusing to break despite the physical toll on his body. The elder tosses the food aside, forcing the boy to choose between his pride and his survival. He tells the boy that if he wants to eat, he has to survive the training first. A massive shockwave ripples through the cave as the elder unleashes a fraction of his power. His crimson eyes glow with an intense, terrifying light that freezes the boy in place. Pushed to his limit, Gyoha lunges forward and sinks his teeth into the man's arm. He growls like a wild beast, refusing to let go even as his own blood smears across his face. Caught off guard by the boy's ferocity, the elder shouts in genuine surprise. With a sharp movement, he flings the boy away toward the rough cave wall. Droplets of blood splatter across the cold stone floor in the silence that follows. Gyoha pulls himself back up, spitting out a mouthful of blood with a defiant look. The elder looks at his wounded arm and smiles. He's finally found the spark he was looking for. In the boy's eyes, there is nothing left but a burning, singular desire to live. The elder's expression turns deadly serious as he prepares for the next phase of training. He tells the boy that from this moment on, his life as a helpless beggar is over. He vows to teach him the true meaning of survival through pain and perseverance. The training becomes a blur of violence as the elder strikes again and again without mercy. The elder's strikes are like thunder, sending Gyoha tumbling through the dirt and stone with relentless force. The young man lies broken in a small crater, his body a map of dark bruises and fresh, bleeding cuts. Without a hint of pity in his voice, the red-eyed elder commands his student to get back on his feet. Gyoha pushes himself up, his eyes wild with a mixture of physical agony and pure, murderous intent. He lunges forward again, his scream of rage meeting the elder's cold lesson. If he can still breathe, he can still learn. Time passes as the training moves deeper into the rugged and unforgiving wilderness of the mountains. A massive mountain bear roars, its towering form casting a dark shadow over the young warrior in its path. Gyoha doesn't flinch, meeting the beast's charge with a precision strike aimed directly at its powerful snout. He lunged forward, slamming his head into the predator with tremendous force, sending the beast crashing against the cliff wall. The great bear collapses, defeated and dazed by the sheer, raw power of the young man's sudden attack. Standing over his prey, a shirtless and battle-scarred Gyoha listens as the elder admits he's finally becoming useful. The old man crosses his arms, his crimson eyes reflecting a sliver of hidden pride behind his stern warning. Fresh blood drips from the deep gashes on Gyoha's back, a testament to the brutal path he has chosen to follow. With a sharp, defiant look, Gyoha tells the old man to keep the lessons coming, no matter how painful they get. The elder explains that Gyoha's open elixir field means his body is constantly absorbing energy from every breath. This internal overflow is broadening his meridians, making him the perfect vessel for the world's most powerful arts. He notes that prestigious groups like the Kunlun Sect would be desperate to recruit someone with such a rare constitution. But his gaze drifts toward the sunlit horizon as he mentions another legendary path the boy might take. He speaks of Wudang, a place where internal mastery and the flow of nature are held in the highest regard. Opening the upper elixir field, the core of Wudang's teachings, would allow Gyoha to truly master the energy inside him. Gyoha repeats the legendary names, the weight of their reputations feeling heavy and distant on his mind. He looks down at his scarred hands, wondering if such noble sects would ever accept a common beggar like himself. The wind picks up as the elder reveals that there is one final, legendary destination for him to consider. His voice carries a strange weight as he names the place where the true dragons are said to dwell, Kunlun. The red-eyed elder tells the kid that, when it comes to handling a freak of nature, like him, even the famous Kunlun and Wudang sects can't compete with Kunlun. He claims they are the only ones left in the world who can actually keep him alive. Gyoha looks up, confused. He'd heard that the Kunlun Sect had fallen into ruin long ago. The kid is wide-eyed, completely shocked by the elder's claim. The elder stands tall, a massive red aura swirling around him. He says Kunlun hasn't fallen as long as he's standing. He smirks with total confidence, declaring that he is Kunlun and Kunlun is him. Cut to a quiet night at their cave hideout nestled deep in the mountains. A pot of food bubbles over a steady fire. Fast forward a few years, and Gyoha is now a hulking young man, devouring a meal while his master watches. The elder sips his tea and asks how he's handling the iron mallet training. Gyoha mumbles that he's doing okay, his cheeks stuffed with food. The elder is genuinely surprised. He can't believe the kid's wounds have already healed from their last session. He thinks about how the constant flow of qi has made Gyoha's body and meridians incredibly tough. In terms of sheer potential, the kid has already surpassed what most top-tier masters can only dream of. Gyoha doesn't care about potential, he's just focused on cleaning his plate. The elder sighs, realizing all that brutal training has turned the kid into a total weirdo. He suddenly drops the news that he's going to be away for a while. Gyoha pauses his eating, confused. The elder explains he has some business to attend to and is leaving the mountain for a bit. Gyoha asks if he's going too, but the elder says it's not a place for him. He'll be back within 2 months. He tells the kid he isn't a child anymore and needs to start looking after himself. Gyoha just waves him off, telling Gramps not to worry and that he can handle things just fine. The elder's face tightens with irritation at the kid's casual attitude. Thinking he was about to get a beating again, the boy quickly jumped away from where his master was sitting. The elder facepalms, wondering if he hit the kid too much and made him forget his manners. He tells Gyoha he can handle his internal energy through solo training from now on. Gyoha looks a little uncertain as the weight of being left alone sets in. The elder gives him some final advice. If training gets too hard, just roll down the cliff a few times. Gyoha points out that rolling down a cliff is basically just falling to your death. The sun rises over the peaks the next morning, but Gyoha is just grumbling about the cranky old man. He looks over at the empty bedding. The master didn't even bother to say a proper goodbye. He steps out into the mountain air and lets out a massive stretch, his bones cracking. He exhales, and a bright orb of internal energy begins to glow in his gut. He can feel the power building up already. He knows it's dangerous if he skips even a single day of training. Without a second thought, he leaps from the cave entrance and plunges toward the valley. He hits the ground and breaks into a sprint, his movements becoming a blur of speed. He starts throwing punches with insane force, his expression turning deadly serious. He lets out a roar, throwing a massive fist forward that looks like it could shatter the air itself. The impact sends shockwaves rippling through the forest in the distance. He grips onto the jagged rock face with a hand as strong as iron. He begins scale the vertical cliff with nothing but his bare hands. He looks down for a split second, sweat dripping from his face, as he fights for every inch. He hangs off the side of the peak, staring out at the vast mountain range ahead of him. Scaling the same old cliffs every day is starting to get old, and Gyoha is officially bored out of his mind. He wonders what the point is of doing this grueling training all by himself, day after day. He let his body plummet freely from the cliff, creating a massive explosion of dust and debris upon impact. He lay in the middle of the crater he'd just created, completely unimpressed by his own strength. He sits up and starts to wonder if the old geezer is actually out there looking for a junior disciple for him. A thought suddenly crosses his mind, and his eyes widen as the gears start turning. He realizes he doesn't actually have to sit around and wait. If he wants to rebuild the Kunlun Sect, he can just go find his own disciples. He figures the red-eyed elder would be happy to come home to a full sect anyway. He heads back into the cave and looks at the stash of martial arts manuals left behind. He stares down at the pile of books, weighing his options. He decides it's probably safer to take the sect's secrets with him and starts packing them up. He ties the bundle tight, satisfied that he's finally ready to move out. He slings the pack over his shoulder and prepares to leave his mountain home. He starts making a mental checklist for his new crew. First on the list, someone who can actually fight. Then he remembers the absolute nightmare that was his master's cooking. Flashback to when he was a kid, the elder's specialties were so bad they were practically a death sentence. The old man thought they were killer, and he wasn't wrong. Gyoha knows the old man had zero taste buds. A junior who can spar and cook would be the perfect addition. He grips his hand, wondering if finding a multi-talented junior like that will be as hard as it sounds. He starts counting them off on his fingers. Disciple number 1, a dedicated sparring partner. Disciple number 2, a junior who can actually handle the kitchen. Since they're technically a Taoist sect, he figures he might as well find someone to handle the boring stuff like reciting scriptures. That makes a solid 3 disciples in total. He imagines a junior serving him a delicious meal, finally giving his stomach the relief it deserves. Then he pictures another one diligently handling all the religious duties while he takes it easy. And of course, a disciple to keep his skills sharp by going all out in a spar every day. The mere thought of having a group of juniors calling him senior has him grinning like an idiot. He chuckles to himself, holding up 3 fingers, The plan is officially set. He knows there's no time to waste if he wants to find the perfect trio. He takes off from the cave entrance, his speed leaving nothing but a trail of dust in his wake. He launches himself off the massive Kunlun Peak, soaring through the sky with a laugh. With a look of pure excitement, he decides it's finally time to see what the rest of the world has to offer. Gyoha looks out over a bustling village tucked away in the mountains. He walks through the crowded streets, amazed by how many people are out and about. A sudden scent stops him in his tracks. He takes a long, deep sniff, trying to pin down the source. His eyes go wide as the smell hits him full force. It's the sweet aroma of fresh, candied fruit skewers. Gyoha stands frozen in front of the food stall, drooling so much it's starting to scare the local kids. He's completely entranced by the snacks. The vendor tells him to quit starring and just take a sample. He takes a bite immediately. He stands perfectly still, letting the flavor settle in. Then he starts drooling even harder, making the vendor extremely uncomfortable. She hands him the whole stick, telling him to just take it and stop blocking her customers. Gyoha is genuinely surprised by her generosity. The granny brushes it off, claiming she was going to throw them out anyway because they were getting old. He bows and thanks her, feeling lucky. He's absolutely thrilled as he starts eating. He takes another massive bite of the candied strawberries. The sweetness is like a literal explosion in his mouth. It's the most delicious thing he's ever tasted. He laughs through a mouthful of fruit covered in syrup. The kids watch in total awe at his speed. They even start offering him their own snacks, wondering if he's some kind of starving beggar. Pretty soon, a small crowd has gathered just to watch this guy eat. He moves on to some steamed buns, shoveling them into his face. The villagers laugh, saying that just watching him eat makes them feel full. Gyoha starts to feel a bit bad about taking so much free food. But he still finishes every single bite. The granny comes back and hands him a set of clean clothes. She tells him he looks like a mess and should at least dress like a proper person. Gyoha watches her walk away, realizing how kind everyone here has been. Nearby, some of the men sigh, saying they feel truly sorry for her. He asks them if something happened to her recently. The mood turns heavy as they start to tell him her story. They mention that one of her children died in an accident not too long ago. The child had saved up quite a bit of money, but now the old woman is left all alone. Worse still, some mountain bandits heard rumors about that inheritance. They ambushed the transport and stole everything that was supposed to go to her. Gyoha's cheerful expression completely disappears as he listens. He asks if that was the end of the trouble. They explain her other child swore he'd get the money back from the bandits. But he just stormed off recklessly toward their hideout, and no one knows why he'd do something so foolish. Gyoha asks when the granny's child left, and the news isn't good. It's already been 10 days. He then asks if the bandit stronghold is nearby, but the villager warns him to stay far away. They tell him that going there is basically a suicide mission. The villagers can't believe his reckless curiosity. Suddenly, Gyoha's presence changes, his body glowing with a powerful blue aura. With a chillingly calm expression, he asks again where the bandits are. His mind drifts back to the mountain cave, where the red-eyed elder once taught him about the world. The young Gyoha, mouth full of food, had no idea what his master was getting at. The elder explained that while bandits aren't exactly good, they serve a purpose in wild areas. He noted that mountains and seas are dangerous for many reasons, not just the outlaws. Gyoha listened, mostly focused on his meal. The elder explained that bandits often act as a buffer against wild beasts, collecting tolls under the guise of protection. It's a job the government should be doing, but they can't be everywhere at once. So the authorities often look the other way when these groups set up shop. Some places even make deals with them, only stepping in if the bandits cross a serious line. Gyoha asked if that meant he should just let them rob him without a fight. The elder sighed, clarifying that necessary doesn't mean they're good people. The young boy still looked completely lost. The elder advised him to think twice before taking a life, as petty theft isn't usually worth a death sentence. He suggested that breaking a few bones is usually enough to get them to back off. But Gyoha had one more question. What if they're actually trying to kill him? The elder's gaze sharpened, his eyes glowing with a terrifying light. He told Gyoha that in that case, mercy is off the table. You kill them, period. If someone comes at you with lethal intent, they've already accepted their own death. Back in the present, Gyoha finally reaches the gates of the bandit's stronghold. He doesn't bother with a plan, just strides right in as his hair whipped in the wind. The guards are stunned by his sheer audacity. He casually confirms if he's in the right place. He figures if it's the wrong camp, he'll just have to go find the next one. One bandit sneers and grabs Gyoha's collar, calling him a brat. The thug tries to shove him, but Gyoha stands like a mountain. The bandit strains with all his might, but he can't make the young man budge an inch. Gyoha remains perfectly still. Another bandit walks up, laughing at his comrade for struggling against a kid. He tells Gyoha to strip off his clothes and run home before they lose their patience. Gyoha finally moves, his hand clamping down on the bandit's wrist. The thug's face goes pale as he realizes he's in deep trouble. A sickening crack echoes through the air as Gyoha applies just a bit of pressure. The bandit screams in agony while his friend draws a blade in a panic. He swings a massive sword, hopping to end the fight quickly. Gyoha doesn't even look as he catches the blade with just 2 fingers. The bandits are frozen in terror, realizing they've picked a fight with a monster. Gyoha snaps the blade between his fingers, the metal shattering with a sharp crack. He gives a cocky smirk, asking if they're the ones responsible for the villagers' suffering. The force of his strike sends a shockwave through the camp, the bandit screams echoing against the mountains. Outlaws are sent flying in every direction, completely overwhelmed by his sheer power. Gyoha tells the trembling survivors not to worry, as he doesn't intend to kill them. He identifies himself as a Taoist disciple and asks where their leader is hiding. The bandits can only stare in mute terror as Gyoha walks right through their ranks. One of them is embedded in a wooden wall, the victim of a previous casual blow. Gyoha pauses, looking slightly confused by his own strength. He decides he needs to finish what he started and tells the bandits to prepare for their punishment. With a single, swift movement, he launches himself forward. He moves like a blur, striking multiple bandits before they can even blink. One bandit calls out for him to wait, clearly terrified. Gyoha skids to a halt, realizing something important. He looks around at the groaning men on the ground, wondering who he should ask next. A soft sobbing sound reaches his ears. Gyoha follows the sound of the crying. He arrives at a heavy set of wooden doors and wonders if this is where the captives are kept. He places his hand on the door, and with a slight push, it starts to buckle. The door shatters into splinters under his casual strength. Gyoha peers into the room, spotting something unexpected. Behind a set of bars, several people are huddled together, their faces filled with fear. The women inside tremble as they look up at their mysterious rescuer. Gyoha's expression darkens as he takes in the sight of the helpless captives. The women look like they've been through a nightmare. Gyoha tells them they're safe now. He grabs the wooden bars of the cell with his bare hands. With a powerful pull, he rips the bars right out of the wall. He gives a gentle smile and tells them they're free to go. One of the captives mentions a name, No Sam. Gyoha asks if any of them know a man named Jang No Sam. The women exchange confused looks, unsure of how to answer. Gyoha looks surprised as a voice from behind him speaks up. A man with a white headband, sitting among the bandits, sheepishly admits that he is No Sam. Gyoha is completely blindsided by this revelation. No Sam stands up, looking a bit worse for wear but definitely not a captive. Gyoha's mind is spinning, trying to make sense of the situation. He explains he's looking for the youngest son of the candy shop granny. Gyoha looks bewildered, unable to believe that the bandit in front of him is the person he's been searching for. Gyoha shouts in frustration as the truth starts to dawn on him. He looks at the bandit in front of him, Unable to believe this is the person he came to save. Gyoha's fist trembles as he realizes the person he's been looking for has been living among the outlaws. Gyoha grits his teeth, his face flushed with anger as he thinks about how little No Sam realizes the pain he's caused his mother. One of the rescued women speaks up, explaining that No Sam actually looked after them during their captivity. Gyoha's eyes widen in sheer confusion, his aggressive stance faltering. No Sam explains that he had only come looking for his inheritance, only to nearly lose his life in the process. Gyoha stands tall, looking down at the young man as he questions if the bandit chief truly coerced him with threats. The women look on with a mix of gratitude and concern as No Sam recounts his ordeal. No Sam looks down, his expression sheepish as he admits the truth of his situation. Gyoha points an accusing finger, seeking absolute confirmation that No Sam didn't participate in any criminal acts. The young man nods solemnly, his white headband stark against his dark hair. Gyoha closes his eyes, trying to process the absurdity of a bandit who doesn't do banditry. He looks No Sam in the eye, curious about what exactly these exceptional talents are. No Sam scratches the back of his head with a nervous laugh, claiming he's simply good with numbers. Gyoha's jaw drops in disbelief, as the women add that he is also a fantastic cook. No Sam gives a modest chuckle, clearly embarrassed by the sudden praise. The absurdity reaches a peak when they mention his singing voice, leaving Gyoha completely speechless. Overwhelmed by the sheer absurdity of the conversation, one bandit covered his mouth to stop himself from bursting into laughter. Then the remaining bandits huddle together, weeping and trembling from the beating they received. Gyoha glances back at the pathetic group, half joking about whether he should give them another round of discipline. The women quickly intercede, bowing their heads and telling him that he has done more than enough. No Sam bows deeply, his face full of sincere gratitude as he suggests they finally head back to the village. A bright full moon hangs over the silent mountain peaks, signaling the end of the long night. Back at the village, the candy shop granny sits alone on a large rock, her face etched with a deep, quiet sorrow. A concerned villager approaches her, offering to take over the watch so she can finally get some rest. Suddenly, a shout goes up as a group of figures is spotted walking down the forest path toward the village. Gyoha leads the way back to the village. Behind him, the villager's son is struggling with a box while a group of women follow. The old woman spotted them, and they bolted straight toward the village, leaving the villagers panicked and shouting after them. The whole group finally emerges from the dark woods. The guy with the headband is just happy to be home. He calls out to his mom, but she looks more pissed than relieved. She starts laying into him right away for running off. She's screaming that no amount of money is worth his life. He just laughs it off, showing her that he actually got his brother's inheritance back. She isn't impressed by the box and keeps scolding him. Then she notices he's limping pretty badly. He tries to hide it, claiming he just had a little trip. Gyoha and the boy share a look while the mom keeps grilling him. She finally turns around and looks at the mountain of a man standing there. She takes Gyoha's hand and thanks him for bringing them home. He just brushes it off, says he was only paying her back for some candy. She looks at the state of his clothes. Gyoha feels bad because the robes they gave him are basically rags now. She tells him to forget it and promises to weave him a fresh set herself. The other guys start laughing, teasing him about being the village favorite. They joke that the mom wouldn't even do that for her own sons. Then they notice the group of women standing awkwardly in the back. The mom's expression goes cold again. She snaps at the men to stop starring and actually welcome their guests. She says they all look like they're starving. She starts barking orders to catch some chickens and a whole pig for a feast. She yells at the women to stop standing around outside. They don't need to be told twice and scramble inside. Gyoha realizes that this lady is definitely the one in charge. Dinner hits the table, and it's a total massacre. Gyoha is absolutely demolishing everything in front of him. The villagers just stand there in awe watching him eat like a black hole. The son brings over a fresh bowl of hot soup. Gyoha manages a quick thanks before going back to work on the bread. The kid is still hobbling around as he walks away. The mom mentions there's a skilled herb collector nearby who might be able to help. One of the guys says he'll go find him as soon as things are ready. By the time morning rolls around, the village is already busy. The doctor is already there, getting to work on the son's mangled leg. He wraps it tight and warns them that another hour would have been a disaster. The old man gives him a sharp look, asking if he's doubting his skills. The kid just sweats and stammers out a quick apology. The kid yelps as the doctor tightens the bandages on his leg. The old man ignores the whining and tells the women to step forward one by one so he can check on them too. They look nervous, probably wondering what kind of medicine this cranky guy is going to prescribe. The villagers ask how much they owe him, but the doctor tells them he doesn't want their money. Instead, he points at Gyoha and says he wants to examine him later. Gyoha just smiles, telling the old man that he's perfectly fine and doesn't need a checkup. But the doctor isn't smiling. He just stares him down and says he already knows. He points a finger at Gyoha and drops a truth bomb. Based on his body, he should have been dead a long time ago. The old man gets right to the point. He tells Gyoha that with a body like his, he should have been dead a long time ago. Gyoha is stunned. He mentions that his old mentor figured that out just by touching him, too. The elder's interest is piqued. He wonders what kind of person Gyoha's mentor really was. Gyoha laughs it off, saying his mentor was a cranky guy who just told him to stay active and take plenty of hits. The elder realizes that all that rough training was actually a way to burn off the internal energy that keeps building up inside him. He concludes that the person who raised Gyoha was definitely no ordinary martial artist. The villagers stand nearby, completely confused by all the high-level talk. Then the elder asks if he can examine Gyoha's body more closely. Gyoha stays quiet for a moment, thinking it over. He asks if the old man can take a look at the other villagers first. The elder just lets out a quick tusk. He tells the kid he was already planning on doing that from the start. Later that night, the elder is genuinely shocked by what he sees under Gyoha's clothes. He examines Gyoha's arm, wondering if the kid is even human. He's never seen anything like it. Gyoha's skin is as thick as a bear's hide, and his muscles are as tough as a tiger's. Gyoha thinks it's a compliment, but the elder calls him a straight-up monster who could beat a bear to death. He asks Gyoha how old he actually is. Gyoha isn't sure since he's an orphan, but he thinks he's around 15. That answer leaves the old man completely speechless. He asks if Gyoha's energy center has been like this since birth, but the kid doesn't really know his own history. The elder tells him that meeting his previous mentor was a stroke of incredible luck. But then he gives a grim warning. Never show his bare body to anyone, or they'll slice him open alive just to study him. He drops a wooden plaque into Gyoha's hand. Gyoha looks at the name on the wood, not recognizing it at all. The elder tells him to find him through the merchant guild if he ever finds himself in a desperate situation. He warns him that most doctors won't even be able to handle a body as unique as his. Even the elder himself admits he's curious to see how the kid turns out. Gyoha offers to see him off, but the old man tells him he's not that old yet. Suddenly, the elder vanishes in a blur, leaving the two boys staring at empty air. He's already leaping through the forest at incredible speed under the full moon. Gyoha shouts out a final thanks to the grandpa. The sheer force of the elder's movement leaves a literal whirlwind behind. The companion is frozen in shock, finally realizing they were in the presence of a master. Gyoha just waves goodbye, still holding the wooden tag. The companion takes the tag and reads the name, Sun Yuijong. His eyes go wide as he realizes who that name belongs to. He screams that it's the medicine saint. He can't believe it. They were just casually chatting with one of the most legendary doctors in the world. Gyoha is confused, asking if the guy is actually someone important. The companion explains that he's one of the 3 greatest physicians alive. Now it all makes sense. That's why his ankle healed completely in just a single day. Gyoha looks at the simple piece of wood again, finally realizing he's holding something incredibly valuable. Gyoha stares at the plaque, thinking that if that old guy was really that famous, he probably should have challenged him to a fight while he had the chance. Back in the village, the mother and the old woman stood beside Gyoha as the morning sun began to break. He gives a warm thanks to the elderly woman who helped him out during his stay. But she stops him right there, insisting that the villagers are the ones who owe him everything for saving them. Gyoha just brushes it off with a laugh, but the woman suddenly gets a very serious look on her face. She tells him she knows it's shameless, but she has one more favor to ask of him. Gyoha is curious and asks what could possibly be on her mind. She gestures to her son and asks Gyoha to take the fellow along with him on his journey. The son is caught completely off guard, but his mother insists he's very capable and could actually be a big help. The poor guy is worried about leaving his mother all alone in the village. She isn't having any of it. She tells him she's lived just fine on her own and has zero interest in cleaning up after him anymore. She looks out at the village, knowing it's way too small for someone with his potential to let his life go to waste. She wants him to go out and actually see what the rest of the world has to offer. She even tells Gyoha that if he finds the boy lacking, he can just cast him aside without a second thought. The son is pretty offended by that, but his mother tells him to shut up because his age shouldn't hold him back from being a hero. She bows her head low, begging Gyoha to take him. Both the boys freak out seeing her bow so deeply in public. She stays down, showing just how serious she is about her son's future. Gyoha finally gives in with a heavy sigh and agrees to let him tag along. The mother and son are both stunned that Gyoha actually said yes. Gyoha makes it clear that he won't be around forever, so what happens after he leaves isn't his problem. The old woman immediately tossed a bundle of luggage to her son. The son is left holding his gear, wondering how his life changed so fast in just a few minutes. And just like that, the two of them start heading out together under the morning sun. The entire town bows in respect as their young hero departs. The mother stands at the front, waving a final goodbye to her boy. As they walk away, the companion looks back one last time at the home he's leaving behind. He realizes that his mother was right. It's time for him to see what he's really made of. They wave back at the villagers as the town starts to fade into the distance. Gyoha looks ahead, ready for whatever the wide world has in store for them. The scene shifts to the massive, rugged peaks of the Kunlun Mountains. The climb is brutal, and the companion is already struggling to catch his breath. He's completely wiped out, barely able to keep calling out to Gyoha. He looks up and his jaw drops. Gyoha is literally walking up the steep rocks on his hands. Gyoha looks back at him while upside down, perfectly calm despite the insane workout. The companion manages to gasp out a question about where they're even heading. Gyoha keeps moving with insane agility, his muscles rippling as he climbs the slope. He tells the kid that his main goal right now is to find his junior brother. The companion is confused, asking where this supposed brother is. Gyoha laughs and explains he doesn't have one yet. He's looking for someone worthy to become his junior brother. The companion is surprised. He's not looking for a disciple instead. Gyoha just laughs at the idea, saying he's way too young to be taking on students. The companion is completely floored, his mind reeling as he tries to process Gyoha's absurd plan to go around acting like a senior brother. He looks out at the endless mountain peaks and asks how they're supposed to find this mystery person, only for Gyoha to give a nonchalant, "Who knows?" That leaves him screaming in total disbelief. Gyoha just cracks his knuckles, a confident and slightly mischievous glint in his eyes. He strikes a powerful pose, flexing his massive muscles as he explains that he'll just have to fight everyone he meets to see if they're worthy of the title. The companion is left trembling in fear, realizing that his journey with this lunatic is going to be way more violent than he ever imagined.